Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by our military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we'll be having a fireside chat with the crew. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And go to the Lost Art website. That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go ahead, check it out, and be sure to check the merchandise tab as well. Get some cool new gear and help support the podcast and get our veteran voices out for all to hear. You can also check us out on YouTube at The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. And be sure to smash that like button, that follow, and that subscribe button. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast and tell your veteran story, then email me directly at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. And to all the listeners out there, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting what we got going on here. And it is time to jump in and say hi to the podcast crew. So we'll start with Krista. How are you doing today?
Doing well, having a good week in hot, humid Beaufort, South Carolina. We did have another hailstorm this week, and so that was eventful. 2 in 1 month. So we're doing all right. So good week.
Man, you guys and your hailstorms down there, I don't know. I don't think I can make it down there. It's too much ice raining from heaven.
But that's 4 in 20 years. So, that I've experienced.
Oh, okay.
So, we're making up for lost time. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I'm tracking on that. Vic, how you doing?
Good. We've been here for 4 years and we haven't seen a single pellet of hail. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you're a little too far north up there, Krista. What, 20 miles away? Apparently it makes a difference. But it's been a good week. I got woodworking projects on the bench that I'm working through. Got the gun display, and then getting the garage ready to paint. And then once I get everything painted, I'm gonna hang French cleats all the way around the garage, put up some storage, and start organizing the garage. But we're getting ready for a trip to Iowa with the family. And then got a motorcycle trip coming up in July that I'm looking forward to. So, yeah, life's good. Oh, today's cigar is a Romeo and Julieta Reserve Real. And this is a Dominican Republican factory. Let's see, Nicaraguan and Dominican fillers and a Connecticut wrapper. But it's this is a Corona size, so it's a little bit skinnier but a little bit longer than the Robusto. So they're typically a mild cigar. This is one of my go-tos. If I had an everyday smoke, this is one of them. It's just a nice, smooth, I dare say creamy cigar. But it's a nice anytime cigar. And I'm pairing it with a glass of Dalmore 12 Scotch.
That's awesome.
So I don't know what Andrew's doing, but he's switching cameras and freezing up and all that. But I'll go ahead and.
I don't know what I'm doing either. Aaron, how you doing?
Doing
we
good.
We can run the podcast. We don't need him.
Yeah. Doing good. As y'all are aware, I had to beat feet back to Arkansas due to death in the family. Unfortunately, it was a suicide. So, this being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and our show is all about supporting our veterans and making sure that their mental health is taken care of as well, or at least helping them get them the assistance they need. So, just another plug there for mental health awareness for all those that are listening. other than that, yeah, I got a chance to go back to my home state. I haven't been back there in, let's see. No, I take that back. I went in 2020 during COVID, but as you can imagine, everything was kind of locked down. But visiting most of my family, I haven't been back since 2016, so almost 8 years. I was telling Andrew before we joined, I've got cousins that I've pretty much never seen. Some of them are graduating high school now, and I haven't met them. So got to see them for the first time, and of course see my mother, who's not in very good health and all that. One thing about Arkansas, since Krista brings it up, hot and humid. It is hot and humid there, not as bad as Florida, but the mosquitoes will carry you off if you're not careful. So keep lots of bug spray on if you're ever in that neck of the woods. We call them skeeters there.
Yeah, you drop the muss and just call them skeeters. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we can talk a little bit about the mental health thing, because that kind of is a lost art of reaching out for help, and that's a tough go, especially for guys. We're very proud, and we don't want to let anybody know that we have issues or that we're struggling with something. We got to be the macho guys in the relationship. We got to make sure that everything's kosher and all that stuff. And sometimes we just kind of push our feelings aside, which doesn't always help us, and I don't know about you guys, and Krista, you might know more than I do about this, but guys can compartmentalize things a little bit, so something happens and we take it and we just put it in a box and we shove it away somewhere for a while. And unfortunately, it all comes back at some point in time. It's just a matter of when, and women are more, they are a little more open about their feelings than men are. But anyways, you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. When I first checked in at Parris Island, my company First Sergeant Rupert Palmer, now a Sergeant Major, he said, we go to the gym to maintain our physical health. We go to the church or go to church to maintain our spiritual health. Why don't we go to a doctor to maintain our mental health? Go to counseling, even if you don't need it. If you're starting to think that you need to go to counseling, it's already too late. He goes, I go to counseling all the time. I'm not afraid to admit it, because as a first sergeant, I got a lot of shit to unload. And I'm like, I bet you do. But and he makes, that still resonates with me. It makes a point, if you have issues and you're starting to think that maybe I need to talk to somebody, it's too late. Go, even if you don't think you need to, seek out help. If nothing else, a friend to bounce things off of, and then, am I crazy? Do I need a rudder adjustment kind of thing? We're lucky because we have spouses to do that. Some guys don't, some girls don't. But don't be ashamed. You go to a gym, you go to church, go to a counselor. What do you got?
That's a good point. Yeah, good point, man. And I'll be honest, when I started going to counseling and therapy and all that good stuff, I didn't think I needed it, and my wife kind of pushed me to go, type of thing, and I did. And I'll be honest, it surprisingly helped me out. And I ain't gonna say it cured me by any stretch of the imagination, because you guys know me, so I'm a little messed up. That's okay. Life goes on. But it does help, man. You kind of get stuff off your chest. You're able to talk about things. It's in a setting where the individual's not going to cast any what am I thinking of?
Judgment,
like shame you or anything. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's a place that you can just open up, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. Aaron, did you have something? You were going to say something a second ago. I cut you off.
I was going to echo kind of what Vic was saying, and what he was told by the first sergeant there. And just kind of, like he said, if you have to question whether or not you need to go get help, it's too late. Or it's past time, should I say. I shouldn't say it's too late. It's beyond that time to go talk to somebody. And like you just alluded to, it's a third party that most of them don't know you from Adam unless you've obviously been going to them before, right? But they're there to listen, to help you get through the things that you're struggling with. A lot of times they just build up. And again, we have a lot of unanswered questions in my family still, a lot of speculation, but at the same time, I can imagine, and things already know, things just continue to build up, and he never talked to anybody. And the folks he was around, the people he did talk to, just aggravated him even more. Mm-hmm. So, try to avoid those people. If there's people that aggravate you, or they're going to say something that kind of sets you off, try to avoid them until you are able to go speak to somebody. Sometimes you can't do that. So I get it, but at the same time, what's the saying? You see something, hear something, say something. That goes for yourself too. You see something that's different. That's like, man, I wouldn't normally act like that, or I normally wouldn't think that way. Maybe go talk to somebody. They can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say from a military veteran aspect, what we see is maybe a little different than everybody else sometimes. And what we think is normal really isn't normal. At least that's what my therapist told me. And when she started kind of putting things into, most people don't have to think about that. Most people don't do that, or whatever the case may be. It was very eye-opening for me. And I was like, wow, I guess I have been through more than I thought I have. Even though it may not have been as much as somebody else, but being in the military, it's a little different. But you got to recognize that there is something different there, and you got to actually go and seek some help. And it's not it's not an easy thing to do, for sure. I put it off for many, many, many years till, the wife told me I needed to go. So good for the wife, Chris, did you have anything?
Well, you get to a certain point, and I'm looking at it, I'm listening to what you gentlemen are saying, and I have an opinion of course, being married to a man. And sometimes you don't know that something's an issue. Let me just think how I want to say this. You don't know that something will bother you that maybe came from your past, and then it can be, I like this word, triggered 30 years later, 40 years later. And I've met people, I've had issues, and I've met people that go, oh, well, you turned out normal. You turned out great for going through all that when you were younger. And then at the age of 50 or 55 or 40, even, they'll go, you decided, you know what? That was not okay that happened when I was a child. That, this happened to me and my sister, or that this, and they're like, oh, but you did so well and you turned out so great. And you realize that all the things you went through, you shouldn't have had to go through. And then you're talking to your sister and you're like, you know what, can we go back and press charges against our parents for this or that, and you view it differently. And you want retribution, you want vengeance, or you want whatever. And you realize, I've got to figure out a way to process this. And now, looking at what's going on with you gentlemen, not what's going on, but how you're viewing it as a man, I think society puts so much pressure on men to be men and have to rise up every day. And what do they say? Man up. And I'm just so sick of that saying, of making you feel like you have to, like you said, compartmentalize. And men compartmentalize. And I think women do it in a different sense. They have to do it with 500 things at home with children or whatever, or even if they're working outside the home or whatever. And I watch my son having to be a man in today's society, dealing with what's going on out there. And I'm concerned. I get worried how society expects you guys to be as men. And I think I texted you guys that a while back, is to be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, and cut yourself some slack, because it really doesn't concern me, but it worries me, because I love the men in my life very much. I loved my father. I loved my grandfather. I love my Uncle Don. I actually sent him flowers today for Father's Day coming up, because my aunt passed away about 10 years ago. and I love my husband, and what society expects from you as a man. I think it's not very fair sometimes. What the demands they put on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
I would
glad that
I
we
would agree
can
with that.
just
Well, I think in today's current society, those demands on men are either shifting or becoming less, which is odd. It's like maybe the 40 and over or 50 and over still view it that way. The burdens placed on a man or even a woman, are it's traditional gender roles, and the burden, each gender has their own burdens upon them, but it just seems recently in the last 10, 15 years or so, the emasculating of men in America, that those responsibilities are either being taken away or ignored.
mm-hmm.
It's in to get back to the lost art of being a man, maybe, I guess, I don't know. There's a When I was at Miramar, one of the gunnies that I was with, he had 4 sons, and he was reading a book raising a modern day prince, and he had Pezdek, and Pezdek was raising his daughter how to raise a modern day princess. But they're really good books. I got the How to Raise a Modern Day Princess, but it's kind of teaches you or taught me how to approach my daughter with traditional values. But society nowadays wants to depart from traditional values. The nuclear family is going away. That kind of stuff. The feminist movement of women, can do just as much and everything a man can do plus a little bit more, and they have to give birth to children. And so, why do we need men? All that kind of stuff. That on top of more and more couples are choosing not to have kids at all, so they're removing the responsibility of raising children, and that's a fact. Less and less couples are having kids, so it's interesting the way society is turning out. Just to touch on what you were talking about, Krista, about the society placing burdens upon men. Unfortunately, I agree with that. The burdens that I kind of take on for my family are the traditional gender role burdens, I guess. But it just seems more and more lately that those burdens are changing or going away.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
You hit on something, Vic, that I kind of want to touch on too. You brought up the emasculating of men. Now, there's also, I think, a confusion out there of some men included, but some men or some women towards men that they, some think that a man has to be, this is my house, we'll do what I say type of mentality. And that is not the case. And I know the 2 gentlemen on here and the 2 gentlemen that aren't present right now don't think this way either. And I will say that there was a man in my life growing up that kind of thought that way, and I always thought that it was wrong and never felt like that. But that's not what a man is. A man is, love and support, take care of his family, in my mind, kind of the traditional, but he's also not sitting there saying, you'll do what I say in my house, when I say it, type of hammer, if you will, coming down on everybody hard and that type of stuff. No, he's there to help and assist in anything he can do. Obviously, like Vic was alluding to, the kind of traditional, we support our family, give them everything that we can, in the best way that we can, right? Whether it, putting food on the table is what I'm trying to get at. We're there to take, I don't want my wife and my daughters out there working on the vehicles when I know how to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, oh, you got a flat tire, go change it yourself. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, no, I'm going to take care of that. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. Now, if trust me, my wife, if she wants to do it, she's going to get out there and help me do it.
She
And I'm
needs
not
to
gonna
know
tell
that
her
if
no.
those back brakes say 4.5, you don't need to replace those rotors. Okay. So
That's right. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
I'm just kidding.
Well, one of the gender roles that I take just as seriously as being a good husband is being a good role model for my daughter. I want her to know what a good man looks like, what a good husband looks like, so she knows what to look for in a future husband. You know what affection, what a healthy, affectionate relationship looks like between me and my wife, and that kind of stuff. I take that very seriously, and it's like probably my daughter's 17, almost she'll be 18 in October. But about a year ago, I just shifted my mentality with her completely. And instead of, you need to clean your room, it's, okay, tell me what's going on today. And, oh, why'd you do that? Why do you think this? And went from a very much, I guess, I read a book that called it Helicopter versus Lighthouse. You know, instead of hovering over your kids and telling them what to do, you're a beacon for them so they know where to go, you know? I think it's changed my relationship with my daughter. She's much more open with me now, and we discuss a lot of things more now, but she's also maturing, so that's a lot of it too. But I think that's a very important traditional burden placed on couples that are choosing to have kids.
Yeah. Wow. Dang, Vic, I didn't know you were that intelligent. That I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. That was good. That was good.
No, I'm just a ball cap wearing, hoodie wearing, motorcycle riding, drum playing, knuckle dragging Marine, dude. That's that's me.
I mean, that's what I thought.
Fathers.
That's what I thought. But you alluded to other things there. Go ahead, Chris.
Community representing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right. Community representing, man.
Awning saving if he has to be.
He failed miserably.
Someday.
Failed miserably on my behalf, but that's okay. Go ahead, Krista.
No, I just said, speaking of fathers, and I know, Aaron, that was your uncle. I mean, I have a dad, but my dad had 3 sisters, and I was close to all 3 of my uncles, my Uncle Gordon, my Uncle Don, and my Uncle Don recently asked me if I wanted his GTO. So I didn't know what that was. So I asked my husband, Uncle Don wants to know if you want a GTO. So we're preparing our garage for the GTO.
Nice.
Come our way. Like I told you, I was sending flowers for Father's Day. And my Uncle Gordon, my Uncle Don, and my Uncle Bud taught me, how to burn off a garden, riding horses in Jasper, Alabama. My Uncle Gordon, he was I think it's a ESG or GSS or something. He was responsible for purchasing at the time all the property that became national parks in the whole United States. So,
wow.
And so I was really close to all 3 of my uncles. So I feel for you, Aaron, because, I should have just been a guy. I don't know why I wasn't born one. God didn't want me to be a guy. It didn't work out that way. But I just, I've always been a tomboy, love being outside and doing all those things. But I love all the men in my life. I mean, I've had great father figures. My granddad taught me so much, you guys, and he never said a word. Do you know people like that? That I'd go out with him and go into the shed, and I had to scoop so much chicken poop, and take it up front and put it in the garden, and he'd be out there and clean out 2 chicken houses and stuff like that. And just, I loved being around my grandfather. But you're talking about, real quick, Victor, people. My great-grandfather, Dudley Jones, he was a dairy farmer as well, and on Jones Dairy Road in Alabama. At one point, he got mad. He wrote a long letter, and he said, "I'm tired of my family. I'm tired of my wife. I'm tired of everyone." And he abandoned them and left and went to Texas. Wow. So there was still people that just didn't want to do it anymore. Got tired. And this was in the early 1900s. He'd had enough and left. And so,
well, my dad died when I was 4, and my mom never remarried. And I have a sister, so my whole family is very matriarchal. So, like, my grandmother ran the family. And then my mom, like, because my mom never remarried, we kind of moved to where my grandma was at in Oklahoma. So why we moved to Oklahoma. And then my sister is a very strong-willed person. When my grandmother passed, my sister kind of took on the reins of being the matriarch of the family. And I was, of course, I love my sister very much, but I did not want to be part of that kind of family structure. When I got married, it was like, I'm not in charge, but you're not in charge of me either. I'm not gonna. I'll talk to my wife about, hey, I want to do this. What do you think? Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? I'm not okay, dear, tell me what to do. I'm not that guy. And there are a lot of guys out there that are happy in those types of relationships. I'm not one of them. My wife and I discuss everything. We make decisions, based on both of our desires and needs and wants. And then we plan things out, okay, well, you get this now, I'll get this later. Okay, we'll do, mattress first, then, then a new refrigerator, and then, whatever it is, but I'm not some guys say, when you ask them how they're doing, it's like, oh, I don't know. My wife hasn't told me yet. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Oh man, that was good. I like that. Yeah. Wow. That kind of brings me to another topic that I was thinking about, another lost art, if you will, the lost art of good conversation. And, I would say that we, as a group, typically we have pretty good conversations. And I would definitely say that is a lost art for sure. So many people are glued to their iPhone or glued to whatever it may be that we forget that there's the human connection at some point in time, even though we are utilizing at this point in time, our wonderful friend, the internet, and being able to communicate when we're miles and miles and miles apart, which is fantastic, to being able to do that. But we're having a conversation. And that is something that has been lost over the years, and it's kind of hard. Sometimes I have a hard time getting my kids to engage in different conversations. Sometimes it's hard to remember that I need to engage in conversation, you get tired, you get whatever, and you're like, I don't want to do that right now. But unfortunately, we have to, or not unfortunately, fortunately, we have to do that because that's something that, helps develop our children as we move forward. In the situation I'm in with the RV and doing this type of stuff, I've got to remind myself to, hey, I got to get the girls out. I got to go take them fishing. I got to go do this. I got to go do that to kind of get them to be able to have conversations later in life instead of just talking about, hey, I saw this on the internet, or I saw this on YouTube, or whatever the case may be. Even though I'm trying to sell something on YouTube, I get it. I got it. That's what we're doing here. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. What do you guys think?
You're trying to sell conversation on YouTube, so it all comes full circle, right?
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it does.
I'm almost positive my nephews are probably going to tell their mom here tomorrow, like, man, Uncle Aaron talks too much, because I was talking their heads off all constantly. Even my one nephew, he loves dinosaurs and he loves Godzilla, and I got him to show me all this stuff about Godzilla. I didn't know anything about it, but I was like, hey, what about this? Why is it like this? And I had him tell me like the whole story about Godzilla. So, but yeah,
that's smart. Yeah,
communication is key.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I think that when you look at technology and the things that we have at our fingertips nowadays, my girls come to me and they say stuff that I'm like, man, I had no clue. They can search up every little thing, and they know how to work a phone, a computer, and all that stuff way better than I know how to do. Now, of course, you guys know me, so it's not fantastic anyways. As you could tell earlier, as I was struggling with the cameras and all that stuff. But yeah, my girls come up and they say all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm like, oh, I had no clue. I didn't know that. But it's pretty cool,
Yeah, it's a funky time right now, as far as like that lost art of conversation. You know, it's on a razor's edge with technology. You know, technology, is it a hindrance or is it a tool? You know, and right now society is starting to decide that like social media is becoming a hindrance. Cell phone and you know, screen time is becoming a hindrance. Schools all across the nations are starting to ban cell phones in class and in schools. There are some schools in Florida, they're not even allowed on campus. Other schools across the nation, you have to put them in a like a little holder when as soon as they walk in the class. They're not allowed to have it in class. The school that I'm teaching in is going to release some guidance about having cell phones. But the state of South Carolina is in right now. They're debating legislature about, you know, they're going to legislate phone usage in schools, in public schools. So as a school board member, we're trying to be ahead of the curve, so to speak. So it's but I learned from a mentor a long time ago that the best way to get business done is to talk to somebody face to face. You know, and I still do that, which is hard now because I work in a separate building from all my peers. So if I want something, I literally have to walk across campus, not just down the hall like I did as a master sergeant. You know, I want to talk to I need something from the drum major. I walk into his office, hey, I need this, or I need something. You know, I need something from this gunny. I walk into that gunny's office. Now I have to walk across campus to walk into the principal's office and say, "Can I please?" But it's but also the school that I'm teaching at, we just had what they call the gauntlet, and it's literally teaching kids how to shake hands and look people in the eyes while they're talking to them. I mean,
get out of here! Are you serious?
I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. So they like we spent an entire afternoon. The kids, the upperclassmen, the juniors and seniors were the interviewed, and then the underclassmen, the freshmen and sophomores, were the interviewers. So they would go up, shake hands. They had to have a nice firm handshake, you know, and then full in, none of that little, you know, fishy stuff, you know, full in handshake, nice firm handshake, look each other in the eye and say, what about this? What about this? Hey, you know, I'm thinking about, and basically give an elevator speech. And then the juniors and seniors had to rate them on a card, and then give it back to them. Yeah, and they had to talk to like 6 people. So yeah, but I mean, it was definitely a learning environment. And then for the rest of the gauntlet is they go into the gymnasium, and there was like 15 stations all set up. And it was like different scenarios, like you're a guy and you're taking your girlfriend out on a date, and you have to beat the parents. What do you do? You shake your hand.
That's
you
good.
look the mom and dad in the eye, and you know the dad's asking you, "What are your intentions with my daughter?" And you're like, these are kids, and you know, pretending to be, you know, husband and wife, and you know, parents. And the underclassmen are like, I'm, you know, so they like in an interview, you know, the interviewer, like you're in a work interview, you know, you're trying to get a job, and then all of a sudden the guy interviewing or the girl interviewing starts choking. What do you do? You know, that kind of stuff. So just like some real world scenarios on how to converse and how to interact with people. And it just seems, I'm glad we did it as a school, but it just seems so weird that we have to do it these days.
Well, I love it. I love that you knew what an elevator speech was. I love it. I love it.
That kind of brings back to you know, when you're thinking about being able to communicate and being able to do those types of things. It used to be taught in the home. You know, I remember being taught like, hey, this is how you shake somebody's hand. You look them in the eye. You do this. You do that. And da 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 da. You know, there was something that was taught at home, and somehow over time you kind of lost that. And now, you know, that's fantastic that your school is actually teaching that, because I guarantee you, and because you're a private school, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So I bet you the public schools aren't teaching that. You know, they're teaching, you know, how to answer the questions on a test. They're not teaching how to be a human being and how to interact and how to do those things that are going to make you successful later on in life.
Yep.
Wow. That's really awesome, man.
Well, every boy that Jenna, you know, when she started dating when she was 13, 14 years old, every boy that came to the house, shake his hand. And if it was a fist shake, I was like, no, that's not how you do it. Get in, full in there, get in there, give me a squeeze, give a nice firm handshake. And then the boy like, okay, like nobody ever taught him that. This is how you shake a man's hand. You look at him straight in the eye. I still do that to kids to this day. And I was doing it before we were doing the stuff at school, and it's just part of being a mentor. Like I said, I'm very important to me to be a good mentor for my daughter, and for so she knows the type of boys that her mom and I are looking for, and the type of men that if I'm responding well to the guys that then she's on the right path. If I can't get this guy to shake my hand, I'm looking at her going, no, not this guy,
big thumbs down. Yeah.
But she's not allowed to date a guy until or she's not allowed to go out with a guy until he comes to the house and looks me in the eye and shakes my hand.
That's good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because what's going to happen if Victor, if you die, or Aaron, you die, you need to know that man is going to be there to take care of your daughters. That's, that's what's going to have to happen, Yeah, he's going to need to be able to protect her and save her and look out for her and be there for her. And not just, he's got to be able to look, because you won't be there anymore. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I was always looking at long term. Because I had, my dad had some issues, but I had a great granddad and a great uncle. This one uncle was really exceptionally great, the one that I'm close to in Florida. But yeah, so who's going to be looking out for me, And so I picked a husband that was just like my grandfather, just like my dad. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been telling my girl since she was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, that I'm her knight in shining armor. I'm the knight in shining armor until you get married. And then there's still a 2-year probationary period. And then after 2 years, and you're a good guy, you go take, all right, you're the knight in shining armor now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you look at the marriage rates of everything these days, right? And I don't have it in front of me. I haven't looked it up, and this just came to me. But people don't stay married very long nowadays. And when you're looking for that one, the person that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with, you need to choose wisely. And you gotta look around. And so many nowadays, kids come from broken homes, and that's all they know. So what happens, man? They get married to somebody that ends up being a broken home. And it's a cyclic thing that is continuing to just go and go and go. And it's just insane at the rapid rate that is happening. Man, I don't even know really what to do other than raise my girls the right way, or what I consider the right way, at least. But that whole broken home thing, that's a rough go.
You guys remember Dr. Drew from MTV?
Dr. Drew from MTV?
Yeah, from MTV. Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew had the Man Show. Remember?
Yeah.
But so Dr. Drew would interview guys and girls, and without fail, the girls that he would interview on the show were doing drugs. They were, they're stripping or whatever, and the first question he would always ask them, "What's your father's involvement?" Well, my dad left when I was 4, and I never saw him again. So the number one contributing factor of raising a well-adjusted modern day princess is the presence of the father in the household. And you're right, 51 or it's 51 or 50% of marriages end in the first year, and then it's so many couples are choosing not to have kids anymore. In the African American community, 50% of kids are born into a single parent family. It's the nuclear family is under attack in America. It's the idea of a husband, a wife, 2 kids, and a dog. That's the exception now. It's like you have a special thing going on if that's your family.
Yeah, very true.
Wow. What about 3 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats, and a squirrel?
Actually, I think it's supposed to be husband, wife, 2.5 kids, and a dog is the typical American family. I don't know where the half a kid comes from, but
nor do I know where the squirrel comes from. But your wife did bring the squirrel, if I'm not mistaken, to your retirement, correct?
No, she didn't
maybe
bring
not the ceremony, but didn't she
she,
bring a squirrel up?
No, she talked about it. She didn't bring it with her. I don't think so. Let me ask her. Hang on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. But I do remember being at his retirement ceremony, and that's switched back. Man, I got to figure my stuff out here. It's doing weird stuff.
Come on, Andrew, get your shit together.
Man, your memory's better than mine. She did take the squirrel up there. Yeah. She sure did.
She did, yeah.
I completely forgot about that. I mean, it's been almost 2 years.
I'm sorry, guys. Mike is
he reminds me. What was that? What was that back in the 80s and 90s? Mad Max or something like that?
Max Headroom.
Yeah. Max Headroom.
Max Headroom. Max Headroom. Yeah.
What was it? Dr. He had his own show, but it was also on Dr. Pepper commercials, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe Pepsi. I don't remember. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, absent. Yeah, y'all already said it. I was gonna add to it. But yeah, absent fathers. It's what, you know. They, like you said, they stay married a year, dad disappears and never comes around anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, that, and you know, when do you think that actually started changing around? You know, was that the 80s where it kind of started drifting?
Well, that was my dad, so I had an you know, speaking of my uncle, and that's you know, kind of what I spoke about at the service. Of course, I broke down, but he was more of a father to me when I was younger. Now, again, he was in his own head all the time, so he would be around for a little while, and you know, again, took me hunting, taught me to hunt, you know, fish, grow a garden, do all the manual labor type jobs, so on and so forth. I helped him do everything, and then he'd be gone. You know, my grandfather was there. Hang on one second. My daughter's in there acting goofy. Apple don't fall too far from the tree. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I had guys that were around and in the picture that kind of showed me what a father should be doing and what shouldn't be. You know, I was smart enough to know the bad things that I shouldn't be doing as a father. So, you know, it kind of helped me once I became a father. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that was good. It's a good way of looking at it. I like that. So I guess we can lead back into something new, and that is prices of hotels and their convention spots or whatever. Krista was telling us earlier that, I don't know, it's like $1 million to rent a room to be able to have a reunion in or something. Isn't that right, Krista?
It's the conference rooms. The Marine Corps Musicians Association, we're trying to get our conference rooms at our hotel where we're having our reunion at the Greenville Convention Center. And I'll just call them out because I have no qualms about doing it. So we're having it at the Greenville Convention Center up in Greenville, North Carolina. And they're trying to charge us an exorbitant amount for the conference room per day, and $900 a day. So just so that would be for 4 days to set up to do our meet and greet and our history room, and then our business meeting and our auction. That'd be $3,200 for 4 days. That's just for the conference room. So, And I think the Hilton was charging, I think for their conference room, it would be like $1,100 or $1,200 a day. And that was more than the Pechanga Casino Resort was going to charge, which was $600 a day. So that
Which,
was out in California.
If Mark was here, he wouldn't believe that to save his life, because California is a little, supposed
I know, right? But yeah, so I was just like, so we're just trying to figure it all out, and we will, figure out what's the best route to take. Yeah, I just thought that was, and we were told it was, I think they told Kirk it was because of COVID, that was the main reason. They were still trying to get back up from COVID. So that was the reason.
So they're charging more now because they lost business during COVID?
Right. And, we've heard some of the issues because of COVID that's why airlines and, are suffering and things like that are still trying to get back up because of that. But we think that hotels have actually taken a hit harder, from, they're trying to recuperate. But don't know if I'm buying that story or what, but we'll get it figured out. It was just kind of are you sure? $900, but $900. And that's not like it's a hotel room that they have to clean and wash sheets. And it's just, it's just chairs and tables. You're not really doing anything. You're just in and out, moving around. It's not, that's a seriously, and it's a Holiday Inn. It's not the Hilton. It's not anything fancy. It's just the Holiday Inn. So it'll be interesting. Yeah, but see, it's the members' money. So when we make a decision, we want to use the members' money wisely. We don't just want to waste it. Yeah, no worries. I kept going. I kind of rambled until you came back.
Okay. Yeah, no, you're doing good.
I'm good at that.
My iPad went dead, and so here I am on my phone now. Let's hope that it doesn't go dead.
The struggle is real.
I'm having a rough go today. I'm telling you what. I don't know what's going on. Technology. I need to get a good sponsorship to give me enough money to hire somebody to be able to work through these technical difficulties. Oh, what's that?
But
say it again.
Say it again.
Yeah, I didn't hear you, Joe. I missed it.
I kept saying it. We were fine. No, we're just trying to find a moderately priced conference room at the Greenville Convention Center for the Marine Corps Musicians Association reunion, and we think that the price is too high. They're trying to charge $900 a day for the room, for the conference room, for our meet and greet and our history and our business meeting, and that would be $3,200. Excuse me. So even Pechanga Casino Resort in California was only charging $600 a day, and we just think that's a bit exorbitant. Yeah. So when we're using our members' money, I always want to make good decisions and not be wasteful. Like I said, it's the members' money. So we're just trying to find something to figure it out. I think we should just have our meet and greet, the president's reception in the parking lot or something, or rent a hotel room, it'd be cheaper than that, or get a suite, something like that. So there's always a way. I'm sorry, Eric.
Just show up at the White House. They'll host you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, a few years ago, Beaufort City got a new little community, a new building downtown, and we voted against it. But only I think 4 people work in that building. And I told Ron, if we lose our home, we're going to go sleep down on the steps of that new building. So it's just like, hey, what are the enemies? This big fancy building at the end of Rebo Road, and we're like, nobody hardly works in it. It's this huge fancy building. They raised our taxes by 1% to pay for this building. And we're like, why? So yeah, we can make it work, right? So
it's already paid for then.
I guess. I don't know.
You would think.
Yeah. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we're approaching that hour mark here. So I guess we'll go round robin. We don't have our other 2 compadres. They've been flying and going all over the country doing different things. probably having more fun than we are. But we'll go round robin and see what everybody's got going on here and what they got to say. Krista, we'll start with you tonight. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's see what we got here. Children have more need of models than of critics.
That was
That
good.
fit the thing. That fit the
I think
thing.
that's fitting for tonight. And then happy Father's Day to our lovely gentleman. That's this week.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice.
I think you're all great guys. And in the words of Victor, love you guys.
Well, speaking of Vic, let's just skip on over to him and see the review of the cigar and what else he's got going on here.
This is a nice, it's considered like a medium, but it's like a little bit of mild to medium range. It's the beginning of the cigar is a nice light. The middle of the cigar is a nice mild cigar. Towards the end, it's starting to get a little metallic and a little peppery. But other than that, I give it 4 out of 5. It's a great cigar. And then my quote is, "Your future needs you more than your past. Let it go."
Wow, that was nice. I like it. Okay, Aaron, what do you got for us, man?
I've got nothing that will impress better than what they left us with. So I'll just leave us with another Vic Nay quote: "Smooth and creamy."
Words to live by.
Smooth and creamy.
That was nice.
Smooth and creamy under the awning.
Smooth and creamy under the awning. You know, it never ends, just so you know. All right. Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate you for joining me tonight. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need help, don't forget that the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net and click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to be able to get you with somebody that's going to be able to help you out. But remember, one veteran life lost is one too many. I care about you. The podcast crew cares about you and all the veteran community. So please, please, please reach out for help. With that, podcast crew, you guys rock. I don't care what anybody says about you. To all the listeners out there, stay motivated, change your socks.